Hello, here we are again, more macros. Well, one new macro plus a few extra variations to it. But it is a special macro in the sense that when we have shown it, that's Jennifer Yankopoulos and I, have shown it in Zoom sessions with editors. We've watched people's faces and they like it. So let's have a look-see. Why do they like it? Well, as with many macros, it speeds up the process, but the other side of it is that it works in the background, and so as you're reading the text, there's less distraction. You can record something in your style sheet, and it's mainly the style sheet creation that we're focusing on, but you could use the macro for other things. So less distraction, that's a good point. So main application, as I say, is lists in style sheets, and the most obvious one it would be the spelling list. So let's have a style sheet. Okay, so here's a style sheet, various bits of information about various conventions, and then we've got a word list down here. Fine. Okay, let's have a text that we're supposedly editing. So we're working on this text. And the macro we're going to use is CopyToListAlphabetic. So I find the first word there of interest, dilaton, and decide to add that to my list. And so nothing has distracted me, I've just added it, and trust me, it's there. Then I find another one there, macrotron, and I add that to the list. Well, let's have a look. The cursor was up the top here somewhere in the style sheet up here, but those words that I asked it to remember have been put into the word list there. So we come to another word, bosonisation, it adds that, and as you can see it's put it in alphabetic order, which is very helpful. Okay, but as we are editing the text, well no sorry, I've been saying this really, as we edit the text we see a word and we add it to the list. But then someone said, well, yes, but I've got more than one list. Is it possible to have more than one list? And for example, they might have the name, say it's a fiction, and you've got character names, you've got places, as well as the word list for the special words, which is fine. So we can have three lists in one. I've extended the macro slightly and called it CopyToListAlphaMenu. So let's have a look at that. So here's our list. I've also got places and people. So we're working through this and we come across Smith, the person Smith. So we run the macro and it offers us word list, places and people, and we can choose one of those. I've used, you can use any letters you like. I've used the numbers 9, 6 and 3 simply because if you look down at your keyboard, those are the nearest keys apart from the minus, plus and enter on the numeric keypad, so I can very quickly go from the mouse where my hand is to the list. So that's a people, that's a person, so it's number 3 and then press enter and Smith is added there. So Norwich is a place, so we want a 6. Paul Beverly, another person. You can actually, if you select a cross, just roughly select a cross and say that's we want to do that one, which is a people, so we want a number 3 for that one, so that's added it in down there, both words. So if it's something like Manchester General, a place, so run it again and choose number 6, and there we go. Okay, so we can, and obviously, you know, if you get more of these special words, whatever they are, then they can be a number 9 and they'll be added to the word list. Okay, that's fine. There is another way of doing it, which is actually what I would prefer, and that is you start with your CopyToListAlphabetic macro, then you make a copy of it, but you can't have two macros with the same name, so you change the name slightly, places and people. And so you can have 3 separate macros on 3 separate keystrokes, so that when you want to add things to your list, wrong one, let's have the list, there's the list, here's the text, so we want to add Thompson, then we can add the names. So I can add the name. What did I do there? Oh, I put it in the wrong place anyway, but Brown is a person, so I'll put him down there. And yeah, so you can London is a place. So what I'm doing is using a keystroke to run each of the three copies of CopyToList, putting the words into one of the three categories there. So that's sort of seeing it all happening, but just to see how it works, because if you're going to do this three-way thing, you need to know this in more detail. So if we have a look at the basic macro CopyToListAlphabetic, then what you've got is the first keyword you've got here is, I've used the word sheet because I've called my file over here, I've called it stylesheet. So this is, you've got to tell the macro which file to put these words in. In other words, where are these lists? Which file are the lists in? And so you use a word, a keyword, and it looks through any open files and adds, it selects the relevant file. So I've used the word sheet. This is not case sensitive, so you don't need to worry about that. However, you need to tell it which list or where to put the words, even if you're only using one. So you have to use a word, and for this I've made this case sensitive because the word places might occur somewhere else in your style sheet, and you want it to actually be capital P laces as where the actual list is. So we put follow heading word list, and then obviously the other ones where we've got CopyToList people, then you've got follow heading people there. So I think that's about it. I hope you find that helpful, and as ever, if you have any questions or queries or suggestions, I mean, that's the important thing about this. I did a macro called CopyToList. Someone said, I mean, that's been running for 7 years. Someone said, could it be alphabetic? Oh, hadn't thought of that. Okay, so I made CopyToListAlphabetic, and then someone else said, but I've got 3 lists. So then we got CopyToList Alpha Menu. So anyway, hope that's useful, and see you again soon. Bye now.